haven't worked with Bob Redford since Out of Africa. I've kept in touch, but he was wonderful to work with. He's so smart and so...
The world stood still as Robert Redford was laid to rest. But what happened next, no one saw coming. In a moment that left millions speechless, Meryl Streep broke her silence and revealed a secret Hollywood had whispered about for decades. Her tribute wasn't just emotional, it was explosive. With trembling hands, she read words that changed everything. A lion has fallen. He was my teacher, my friend, my soulmate. The crowd froze. Was this a goodbye? Or a confession of love long hidden? This is the story behind Meryl Streep's tribute that stunned the world. In the letter, Meryl recalled a cold winter night in 1979. She was torn between staying in the New York theater scene or stepping into the bright but uncertain world of Hollywood. Redford placed his hand on her shoulder and said softly, "Don't fear failure, only fear when you stop daring to move forward." That one sentence, she said, changed her life forever. She also revealed a secret no one knew. In 1984, when director Sidney Pollack hesitated about who should play the female lead in Out of Africa, it was Redford who made the call. "Choose Meryl," he told Pollack. "She'll make this film immortal." That single phone call transformed Meryl Streep from a rising actress into a global star. In her letter, she wrote, "Without Robert, there would be no Meryl Streep." She described a quiet memory from the set of Out of Africa. During a riverside scene in Kenya, she was trembling with nerves. Redford handed her a hot cup of tea and whispered, "You don't need to act, just live." That very take became one of the most moving moments in cinema history. When NBC read her words live on the Today Show, the clip was viewed over 25 million times in just hours. Variety called it a television moment that froze America. The world remembered that Out of Africa wasn't just a movie. It was a love story that felt so real. People believed it couldn't possibly have been acting. The chemistry between Robert Redford and Meryl Streep was magnetic. Each glance, each touch, every silence between them felt honest. Years later, Meryl admitted to the Los Angeles Times, "During the hair washing scene, I felt as if I were truly in love." Rumors spread quickly. Magazines claimed secret meetings in New York, quiet dinners near Central Park, even photos of them holding hands at the Cannes Film Festival. When reporters asked Redford directly if he was in love with Meryl, he only smiled and said, "Love has many forms. Sometimes it doesn't need a name." That silence spoke louder than any confession. At the 1986 Academy Awards, cameras captured Redford watching from the audience as Meryl accepted her Oscar. His gaze was intense, almost burning. The tabloids called it a look worth 1,000 words. Years later, when Redford married German painter Sibylle Zaggers, she was asked about the long-standing rumors. She replied, "Robert had soulmates of his own, and Meryl is one of them." For more than 40 years, their paths crossed again and again. She often flew to Utah to support his Sundance Film Festival. He attended award ceremonies whenever she was honored. Their connection seemed unbreakable, something beyond friendship, beyond the reach of time. So when Meryl Streep choked up on NBC in 2025, calling Robert Redford her soulmate of 40 years, the world finally believed what it had always suspected. Between them existed a love deeper than words, a love Hollywood could never script. But Meryl wasn't alone in her grief. From Barbra Streisand to Jane Fonda, from Antonio Banderas to Ron Howard, tributes poured in from every corner of Hollywood. Streisand shared a never-before-seen photo of her and Redford laughing on the set of The Way We Were. She wrote, "Behind the spotlight, he was a mischievous man who made me laugh every day." Jane Fonda broke down on ABC News, confessing, "Every time I acted with Robert, I fell in love with him all over again." Younger generations of actors and directors remembered him as a mentor. Antonio Banderas said, "Robert believed in me when nobody else did. He opened my first door. Ron Howard recalled asking Redford why he named his institute Sundance. Redford laughed and said, "Because I wanted it to belong to everyone." That humility made him not just a star, but a teacher. Before the legend, there was a rebellious boy from Santa Monica, California. Born in 1936 to a working-class family, Robert Redford was expelled from the University of Colorado for drinking. He wandered through Europe, sketching on the streets of Paris, sleeping in churches in Rome, and discovering that art was not just creation, it was survival. When he returned to New York, he joined the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. His eyes, one teacher said, had a magnetism that made the audience forget to breathe. Critic Roger Ebert once wrote, "Robert Redford didn't just act, he created a new generation of filmmakers." When big corporations tried to commercialize the festival, Redford refused. He lost millions but kept its independence intact. That courage made him one of the last true rebels of Hollywood. Yet behind the fame and elegance lay deep scars. His first son, Scott Redford, died of sudden infant death syndrome. His second son, James "Jamie" Redford, battled liver disease and cancer for decades. When Jamie passed away in 2020, Robert simply wrote, "We lost a bright soul." His daughter, Shauna Redford, faced tragedy when her boyfriend, Sid Wells, was murdered in Colorado in 1983. These losses haunted him, shaping the quiet, introspective man audiences saw on screen. Once, when honored in Berlin for Lifetime Achievement, Redford almost refused the award. He told friends he felt undeserving. Yet when he finally stepped on stage, he said softly, "Each of us carries darkness. I just try to turn mine into light on screen." That single sentence explained everything about him. When Robert Redford passed away in September 2025, he left this world the way he lived, modestly. His private funeral took place at his ranch in Sundance, Utah. No cameras, no crowds, just pine trees, mountains, and his family. His wife Sibila, his daughters, and his grandchildren gathered in silence. A page from his old notebook was read aloud. "When I die, let the wind and the mountains be my farewell." But the world wasn't ready to say goodbye. 2 months later, Hollywood hosted a grand memorial at the Dolby Theater, home of the Oscars. The red carpet stretched across Hollywood Boulevard, crowded with stars and fans. Clips of his greatest roles filled the screen, riding with Paul Newman in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, smiling at Barbra Streisand in The Way We Were, and gazing at Meryl Streep in Out of Africa. Meryl stepped onto the stage in a simple black dress. Her voice trembled as she said, "When a lion falls, the whole forest changes forever." The hall erupted in tears. Jane Fonda cried openly. Barbra Streisand held up that old photo, and the audience gave a 10-minute standing ovation. It wasn't an awards night. It was the world bowing to a man who had already given it everything. 2 funerals, 2 worlds. One in silence, one in starlight. Robert Redford chose to leave quietly, but the world refused to let him go quietly. Because legends don't die, they echo. They live on in the wind, in the mountains, and in the stories that outlive us all. Maybe that's why Meryl Streep's letter didn't feel like a goodbye. It felt like a confession, a final whisper between 2 souls who spent a lifetime hiding their love until the world was ready to hear it. What do you think? Was it friendship or a love story that Hollywood could never tell? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold stories from behind the silver screen. Because even after the curtain falls, the heart still remembers. Thanks for watching.